Hey, you all. Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the West, more specifically Las Vegas, Nevada. And even more specifically than that, I'm in front of the National Atomic Testing Museum. The greater Las Vegas area has a long history with the testing of a development of atomic weaponry, as it was originally tested very close to Las Vegas. And in 1992, all that testing information was finally made declassified, and it could be shared with the world. And here at the National Atomic Testing Museum is where it is shared. And today we are going to check out this wonderful institute, so please follow me. The museum's actually closed today. They were kind enough to allow me to tour the museum while it was closed. So we're going to head inside the National Atomic Testing Museum. You can see it's like a metal guard station right here. And right off the bat, there is something incredible here. This is a Fat Man, one of the two bombs that was developed to drop on Japan during World War II. This is a 1948 version, so not the original version, obviously, because that one's exploded, but an active, was actually built as an active nuclear bomb. Disarmed, I assume, but yeah, that's amazing. And here is Miss Atomic Bomb 1957, wearing that mask, being responsible. Talks here about the Nevada testing sites, the town of Mercury, Nevada, which was developed around the testings. It's here what an office would have looked like during the testings. The typewriter right there. Some pictures, some framed pictures of nuclear explosions. Here's a pin that was awarded to workers on the Manhattan Project. It says A-bomb on it. And this is a paperweight with a piece of trinitite in it. Trinitite is the material that was caused at the Trinity test site from the bombs exploding and turning the sand into glass. See here an exhibit on how the atomic bomb affected pop culture, and it's really crazy if you think about it. If you stop and look at it, so many things inspired by the advent of the atomic bomb. The Kix cereal advertised giving away an atomic ring in the cereal box. You can see the actual atomic ring right there. Actually has a little bomb on it. Atomic themed hot sauce, atomic themed energy drink, and atomic themed wine. Some atomic Christmas ornaments to hang on your Christmas tree. Up here we have some fancy sci-fi ray guns. It's an old postcard from Las Vegas. You can see the Pioneer Club. I believe that's over near Fremont Street. And it shows the atomic bomb blowing up in the background. Saying it was about 75 miles away, but you can still see it from Fremont Street. It's an atomic energy lab. That sounds like it'd be fun for kids to play with. I don't know about this particular one, but I've actually heard stories about including uranium in old science kits. And of course, the atomic fireball. There's the little boy model of atomic bomb. This is the one that was dropped on Hiroshima. And then over here is the Fat Man model. This is the one that was dropped on Nagasaki, and we just saw an actual casing from one out in the lobby. I think that is a G.I. Joe right there. Here's a model of the USS Nevada. This was a ship that actually assisted in detonating an atomic bomb in the Pacific Ocean at Bikini Atoll. Interesting, the name Bikini Atoll, that was actually in the news the same time as the bikini bathing suit when it was first made popular, so the two kind of mushed together, and the bathing suit became known as the bikini. Interesting book here, The Testing and Taming of Nuclear Weapons. You wonder who would need to read that. And so they sell that to the public. Very interesting. This is the Genie here. This is a air-to-air nuclear bomb. Normally we think of nuclear bombs exploding on the ground like these horrifying works of art, but this was actually meant to shoot at another object in the air and blow it up with nuclear power. It almost seems like overkill if you think about it. You can see this family of mannequins here in the nuclear fallout shelter. Those masks are very responsible, but I don't think they're going to help against what they are up against. And this is pretty fascinating. It says the J.C. Penney Company of Las Vegas. This is a chart of mannequins used in atomic testing, before and after pictures of what the mannequins look like after being exposed to explosions. The atomic bombs don't get you. This cougar will. Alright, we're going to head into the Ground Zero Theater here. It starts here in just a second. So yeah, great little film in here that shows the pluses and minuses, the upsides and downsides of nuclear testing. Talked actually a lot about the side effects and how it affected people through disease and contamination. And then they also throw in some effects. They show you nuclear bomb testing, the cedar rumbles, and they blast you with an incredible amount of compressed air. So we head into the underground testing section. It may seem strange to testing underground because of how difficult that must be, but apparently they began testing underground because testing above ground was contaminating the environment and making people sick. Some of the equipment used in making these massive underground nuclear testing tunnels. Look at this. This disc here is just one big cord that will be running into the tunnel, and that's a cross section of all the smaller cords inside. Actually pretty almost oddly beautiful. It's a replica here of the vertical shafts they would use. They just make one very, very deep hole in which to test the atomic explosion. This is an actual instrument that was used in the underground testing. This big machine here would just record and test various measurements associated with the testing. It's the actual camera used to film in the holes, lower this massive monstrosity of a camera down. So there's some t-shirts here to celebrate joyous occasions, to the Soviet visit to the Nevada test site. This is in 1988 when tensions cooled and things were much more calm and we could visit each other's nuclear test sites without it being a big scary thing. The section on nuclear powered rocket engines. So there's the railroad here, I guess, where they were used to transport these nuclear engines. This was the Jackass and Western Railroad. What a name. There's a spike. There's a spike from the actual railroad. This case has all these different devices used to detect radiation. Now that we know more about how radiation works and how it can be dangerous and how we need to keep track of it. It's a little bit like ghost-busting equipment. These are ionization chambers. I'm not sure exactly what that is or how that works. Some different ID badges in here. There's a collection Native American arrowhead. This is actually collected by a worker from one of the Nevada test sites. His name was Charlie Neild. So kind of shows you that, you know, they were testing on Native American lands, and you know that is kind of troubling if you think about it. It's another genuine nuclear weapon. This is a 9 megaton nuclear bunker buster developed in the 1960s. Disarmed, of course. So, you know, you couldn't like hit it with a hammer and get it to go off. And at the end of our story, we have a piece of the Berlin Wall. Of course, the Berlin Wall falling, a major part of ending the Cold War, the hostilities between the United States and the Soviet Union. It's a piece of wreckage from the World Trade Center, part of the September 11th attack, and also a I-beam from the World Trade Center. So you can touch it, but it does have sharp edges. Going through this museum the whole time, I had this weird feeling that I was being watched. Oh my goodness. There are some scientist humor here. Math is hard, so is life. Get over it. And what part of that equation do you not understand? Some delicious beverages here, from atomic testing water to alien snot and Martian poop. Here's the Harry Reid exhibit hall in Area 51 Theater. And this is their new exhibit that they show the history of the Trinity testing site and kind of the progression of the testing of at the Trinity sites all the way up to America winning World War II. You can see that is actually the inside of a Fat Man bomb right there in the middle. And here is an exact replica of Robbie the Robot from Forbidden Planet. I always get confused because there's another robot from, is it Lost in Space, that looks almost identical. And I think that robot's name is just Robot. But I think I read somewhere that they were designed by the same person. So, Robbie the Robot from Forbidden Planet. Just an exhibit on past and present, current technology versus past technology. We can see that old Apple Macintosh computer. And yes, I do remember that. I am old enough to remember stuff like that being used. There's a Commodore 64. Oh, look at that big old video camera. Look at that phone and that calculator. You know, you wonder, younger people may not be as familiar with these items. Oh yeah, I guess this is actually equipment to go with the video camera. You know, I'm so happy that things are so much easier these days. It really allows me to do what I do because things are so much more streamlined. See the old record player, tape recorders. Of course now, you know, all this sort of technology is just in everyone's pocket. You know, nothing makes me feel older than seeing iPods in a museum. I had one of these original iPods with the spin wheel. I honestly, I would still use it. I loved how simple it was and how effective it was. These personal digital assistants were not around that long. They seemed really futuristic, and then they pretty much just were integrated into cell phones. And look at these cell phones that are here in a museum that I used to have in my pocket and used to think they were the peak of technology. Does anyone else remember getting absolutely bombarded by AOL discs and CDs? They would send you about 5 of these a day back in the day. Does anyone else my age remember the first time they realized that floppy disk drives were no longer part of a standard computer? And here's something that's very relevant. This is an exhibit on the Department of Homeland Security's fight against COVID-19, the pandemic that is affecting the entire world as of the filming of this video. Here's an actual Homeland Security suit that they would wear in the lab when working with the COVID-19 virus. So thank you for joining me here at the National Atomic Testing Museum here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Very, very interesting museum. Very, very interesting period in human history. Very much changed the course of our country, changed pop culture, changed history, changed every aspect of how we lived our life. Much like current times and how we are dealing with this pandemic. I see a lot of parallels there. It was a trying time, a scary time for America, and America came up with a solution, a solution with pluses and minuses, but a solution nonetheless. Definitely encourage you to come out here and visit the National Atomic Testing Museum in person here in Las Vegas. If you'd like to see other museums I've been to, as well as other amusement parks, roadside attractions, haunted houses, and other fun stuff, please check out the rest of my channel. Subscribe to see new videos when they come out. See, that is a jet. That is a jet. That is not an atomic bomb being tested. But yes, check out my channel. Subscribe for new videos. If you like to go back in the past videos, I've been to the 48 continental United States, filming roadside attractions, amusement parks, museums, and haunted houses in all of them. Other ways you can help support the channel: donating to Patreon. $3 or more will get you a postcard once a month. Also selling goodies in the Etsy shop. All those things help keep this train on the tracks, this boat in the water, and this dirigible in the air. Until next time, this one's in the bag.